Hi there, I'm Peter Millard and this is 10 Minute Workshop, where 10 minutes in the workshop is never 10 minutes wasted. In the workshop this week, well, I'm building an Alcove unit. I don't think I've done one of those on the channel before, so that'll be fun. And if you don't know what an Alcove unit is, well, stick around and you'll find out. It's coming up next. So Alcove units, yeah. To understand these, you've got to know a little bit about the sort of typically Victorian housing stock that we have in this country, in the industrialised cities, certainly London, of course, Birmingham, Manchester, Liverpool, Leeds, all the usual sort of suspects. Back in the day, these are terraced houses, so row houses, and they all follow a very similar pattern. You go in through the front door and then either on the right or the left, depending on which way round it is. There are two downstairs rooms, your front parlour and your back parlour, and then there's usually another room at the back, which was the back kitchen. Because these are Victorian houses, they were built with, they were heated by coal fires or wood burning fires, open fires. So each of the two downstairs rooms has a chimney in it, a chimney breast with an open fireplace, and that chimney breast sticks out into the room a little bit by about a foot or so. So you have an alcove, a niche, at either side of the chimney breast, and that's repeated all the way up. In fact, the two chimney breasts go all the way up through the house to the first floor bedrooms, and then in the loft space they sort of join together, and then they both poke out of the top of the roof at a chimney stack. Most of these alcoves, most of these chimney breasts still exist because it's a huge job to remove them. It can be done, but there's literally a ton of bricks that needs to be taken out all the way down of each chimney breast. Then the roof has to be, what's left of the chimney has to be kept, because they're terraced houses. Half of the chimney belongs to next door, so it gets very complicated, and for that reason the vast majority of people just leave the chimney breasts in, even though obviously nobody's burning fossil fuels in city centres anymore. What most people do though is use them to make extra storage, and typically an alcove unit will comprise of a low cabinet with a bookcase or shelving above, and that's what I'm doing here. It's very simple, it's very straightforward, there's nothing fancy. You can have varying degrees of complexity or twiddly bits. You can have fluted face frames and mesh on the doors and all that sort of stuff. These are actually going to be fairly straightforward and fairly simple. And I will be doing a matched pair of these either side of the chimney breast, but we're actually just going to be doing one for now because the customer wants to get that one in as soon as possible and then get some wardrobes built. And then we'll come back to revisit the other stuff later on. So the alcove unit is going to comprise of a low cabinet, about 500mm deep, about 900 just under wide, a little under 3 feet wide. It's actually quite a tall cabinet. I normally build these about 750, 760mm, about 2'6", but the client specifically requested that we make it a little bit taller, so it'll be about 900, about 3 feet. And then again, there's a fixed shelf in the bookcase above, and that helps tie it together. And then we have 3 adjustable shelves. And again, we're putting the fixed shelf, again, a little bit higher than I would choose personally, but that's what she wants, to give space for potentially a bigger TV in there. As always, there's a double socket behind the cabinet, so we'll need to make a cutout in the back for that. And then we'll need to do sort of a bit of work around the bookcase to fill in around the edges, because obviously the walls are never perfectly true. So we've got to get that all in, tucked away quite nice and tidily, and then fill the gaps in so that it doesn't look too bad. And because of the pencil marks on the offset, I know exactly where that row of holes is going to go. Now, when I do these things, I like to make sure where the stop and start points are going to be. And as I said before, you don't, over a bookcase this size, you don't want a tiny, narrow little shelf. So we'll bring them in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 holes up, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 holes up from there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yeah. And one of the other things that I do like to do when I'm doing these, pencil marks are all well and good. Put a tape mark at either end so that you know where you're stopping can also be pretty useful. Okay, so painting is all done pretty much. There's a few little bits of trim that I've put an extra coat of paint on. It's all dry, it's all looking pretty nice. A lot of this stuff will get a third coat of paint, a quick touch up when we come to finish, but we can start nailing things together now. And I think I'll start with the cabinet first and then do the bookcase. Cabinet, because that's smaller and get it out of the way, then have a bit more space to play with the bookcase. So we'll do that. Again, if you've seen my cabinet builds before, it's going to be very familiar to you, so I'm probably going to rattle through this quite quickly, fast forward a lot of it. Again, it's dominoes and glue and a few carcass screws, and Bob's your uncle. So yes, I'll see you. Let's see how we can get on. Whenever you've got something like this, you've got to be very careful if you do need to move it around at all. There's an awful lot of leverage on this, and I know from experience it doesn't take much of a swing or a fall one way or the other for that side panel to just lever those dominoes and rip this side apart completely. So you do need to be quite careful with it, and for that reason I'm just going to pop a quick clamp on there while I put some glue on this side. Okay, so this is how a little bit longer than I normally leave it, because obviously there's no mechanical fixings at the top of this. It's just held in by the glue and the dominoes. So if I start moving it around, I'm going to give it a good old session. With the doors fitting nicely, I can trim the shelf back for a snug fit, then get the carcass out of the way. What we need to do now is trim this 3 loose shelves back a bit. I left them slightly long so I could trim them back so that they fit nicely. And then I think we're pretty much good to go apart from that. So everything's kind of bundled up here, ready to go, shelves and the tops and stuff. I've got a little bundle of trim and bits and pieces. I've got the carcass ready to go. Look how dark it is in there compared to in here. It's amazing. Turn that down a little bit. Turn you around so you can see in here. So in here, yeah, in here I've got the, we're doing too bright. There you go. That's gotcha. So, yep, in here we've got the doors. I managed to ding the doors getting off the drying rack. Really stupid. So they'll be wrapped up first thing tomorrow. We've got the carcass ready to go. Okay, so this is our site. A bit echoey in here, so over there. This is the alcove. We've just taken the skirting boards off. A little bit of multi-tool work and hammer and chisel. And now we've got to get the plinth fitted in and levelled off. Once that's done, I can get the rest of the skirtings trimmed back and get the base cabinet in. Moment of truth. Look at that. I think we can live with that. Whew. So yeah, I feel sure the Egyptians would have done something similar. Good stuff. Whew. Well, that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. It's very echoey in here, so I hope you can hear me okay. Not every alcove unit is the same. I don't think I've done one quite like this before. They do vary in styles, but that's the basic principle of an alcove unit. Cabinet below and a bookcase above. Sometimes with adjustable shelves, sometimes with a bit more of a face frame. Sometimes the shelves come out deeper than the alcove. I normally put these cabinets a little bit lower, but whatever the client wants, the client gets, and that's what we've got today.